Right, so there are some few queries on BJT, so I think I will just take up around 9:45. We will discuss those queries. Uh, so let's just go ahead with the MOSFET first. This basic operation, what was I was discussing. So I think just to recap very quickly, so it's simply something like a capacitor, metal oxide semiconductor, and what we understood that two different scenarios. One is a kind of like a one is your p-type substrate, then you have to apply positive gate voltage that to get it, so that you create an NMOS. And if it is an n-type substrate, in that case we apply negative gate voltage and it creates a whole inversion layer in the in the PMOS, right? So we have to be bit careful. So it's, I think this is what I was to make it like say NMOS means that we have a p-type substrate, but we create an we create an electron inversion layer. So the electrons are basically the charge, the carrier, so they constitute the current that flows through the NMOS device. Whereas in case of the PMOS, it is a you have the n-type substrate and the whole inversion layer is created. So basically the holes are the measured holes are the basically the charge carriers here in the PMOS. Right, we apply a negative voltage at the gate terminal in the case of PMOS, whereas in a case of NMOS, one apply a positive gate voltage. All right, so since the magnitude of the gate voltage, just to recap, so magnitude of the gate voltage, it determines the depth. I kind of like a depth, or I'd say, yeah, this kind of like a depth of the channel. This depth, if we have if you keep on increasing this VGS, the depth means you are getting more space charge region is getting created. That means you have the electrons which are getting more kind of like a get into the this inversion layer, this space charge region, right? So depending on to the magnitude of the VGS that applied, so it's depend on to the magnitude of the gate voltage which is applied in both the situations. So the device looks like we have a like a three terminal. So there are basically four terminal. Fourth terminal is a basically substrate of the bias, that's a body, and you have the source and drain. Source is basically always kept at the ground potential at the common the ground, where if we apply a signal at the drain terminal, so basically what's going to happen, the current is going to flow. If you apply a small signal, so the electrons are going to flow from here to here. So the current is going from drain, entering from the drain and leave the source terminal, right? So that's the current flow direction into the in this NMOS. So I think we were discussing about these characteristics, how we the output characteristics basically. So yeah, the drain current versus your the voltage which we applied at the drain terminal, since we are measuring with respect to the source, since source is at the ground. So we see that the if you look into the family of curves, that if the gate voltage which is applied is less than the threshold voltage, that means there is no channel is being formed, so you won't see any kind of like output. But if the voltage which is applied to the gate terminal, if it is become slightly larger than the threshold voltage, the channel is just formed. But if we increase it slightly further, then you see that the electron inversion layer is created, and then constitute the kind of like a channel for conduction of the electrons. It means we are changing the conductance of the channel from as we moving from source to drain. So that's we get it with the voltage which is applied at the drain terminal. If it is less in the sense as a values order of few millivolt, let's say I'm talking few millivolt mean tens of millivolt. In that case, what see there's a direct relationship ID and VD. So something like you can also think of that we can create the device can behave as a resistor, because in a conductance means we can create we have it's a kind of like it's follow a straight line. So this reason basically you can turn up into in form of kind of like a resistor, right? So if you want to create a resistor, right, in the integrated circuit, so we do not integrate that one, but what we can do, because we know the how much current will be there on application of the voltage, so we can get the approximate the value of resistance. So this way we can create a integrated like a resistance in integrated form, right? Because it's in a straight line. As further if we increase the, let's say this voltage VDS, if we increase this voltage VDS, If we further keep, let's say till here, this point, so it follows a straight line, but as we keep on increasing the voltage, let's say, which is applied at the drain terminal, what's going to happen? Because there is no voltage, let's say there is a fix, let's say VG, the gate voltage is a fix, and we are changing the, let's say the VDS, right? So what's going to happen? The voltage drop across the oxide layer, means somewhere here, is it was changed. So it would have there won't be, it would be a kind of like a having a less voltage drop because at the ground potential, but there will large potential voltage drop would occur at the nearby the drain terminal. So what we see, that channel depth is not remain uniform, but it's become a kind of like a tapered, right? It's so it has a it's kind of like a deepest at the source location, but as you moving from source to drain, it's changing. So what does it mean? That your conductance is changing. Conductance is now decreasing from source to drain. So what does it mean? That the conductance here, it changes, it decreases, basically. Changes means that in sense that it decreases from as you move from source to drain. So it may happen that if we keep on increasing this VDS further, that at a point it may reach at a certain point somewhere here, that it's almost become is become almost this the depth becomes like at this point become like a point. So it means there is no depth here, there is no channel depth here, so it becomes zero, minimal, right? So that point means we are reaching towards as a almost in a saturation point. And this bending, what you see here, this bending, this region specifically, as you go from deviating from straight line to this getting a kind of like a this bending, this because your channel is now tapered. Channel is tapered now. So what is it I mean to say here? Let me, I think this is what I have drawn. So basically you have the device, so I should have, okay, make it, let's say this is a n plus region, and this is again n plus region here. So when we do not apply, so I'm just making a just for the pictorial cartoon picture. So basically this is your source, this is your drain, and now gate voltage is applied here. So basically depending on to this, we had as a space charging was created here. So basically you had this when the VDS is very small and you applied, so channel is created. But as we go ahead further, so channel actually, if you look at the here, is keep on may happen this niches and may point here, right? So what you see at the point is keep on decreasing, so it means the conductance decreases from source to drain. So it means resistance now, right, increases. So resistance increases, right? So but at certain point it reaches to almost minimal charges. So this reason actually this we call as a pinched off. So this reason is basically called as a pinched off reason, right? But it may happen that if we further increase, so if we, let's say this may happen that the VDS a certain voltage, which we generally call as a saturation voltage, and which I think this is a VGS minus VTN, and because we know that at the if it reaches the voltage which is reaches the TN, so it means we don't just channel is formed, so it's something like conditioning, making a mimicking something like at this point. So if we further increase, let's say VDS is further increased, keep on increasing, if we keep on increasing, let's say more than saturation voltage, what's going to, it affects slightly, it affects slightly the channel it affects the channel behavior. So there is a small this move, we can see that the point actually make a small shift. So it means the pinch off point is slightly moves a small delta del delta L. Let's say if the L is length here, this was let's say L, channel length was L here, and W was let's say the depth here. So W was the depth. So you would see that probably in that equation, the current equation which we write, that it depends on to the these two parameter W and L, as well as it depends on to the how the device is fabricated. So this small modulation. So modulation means basically a small change that happens into this channel length. If we keep on increasing, if we increases the this voltage at the drain terminal. So this is okay. Here I can write down. So it means we are increasing this, let's say VDS. So it was VDS is very small, let's say almost less tens of millivolts, where you have there is no channel deformation in the channel, so it was a depth of W, but as we increasing, it's become a tapered, right? So it behaves so it reaches to the point somewhere here. So this I mentioned. So a small change that happened into the modulation that happens into the uh, on somewhere here. So this reason. So this reason actually is called as a non-saturation or triode region, right? This region till the, so it means from, let's say 0 to VDS saturation, the device, that's the MOSFET, that's let's say whether it's a N type or P type, it's behaves it's in non-saturation region or the triode region. But the reason, as you go ahead, if the voltage which is applied here at the drain terminal, if it is larger than the VDS saturation, is basically this region is called as a saturation region. And for most of the application which is are built on this on the FET technology, that means the MOSFET is generally we operate into the saturation region, which is if you look into the BJT, if he I think I'll just drop it. I will make a draw analogy between the BJT and now FET. You will find that the same, we are always talking into the same region, but the region is called as an active in BJT. Saturation is somewhere here in the BJT, but in this case MOSFET, this is a saturation is, so don't need to get confused. So it's basically your MOSFET devices basically are being operated most of the whether it's an amplification or any switching. So we do go for the saturation region. So okay, so I think this is okay. So this is what I have written actually in the previous slide. So if let's say this is for NMOS, and if we recall it, I'm just doing a for BJT, let's say the common emitter ones, BCE, and we have an IC, right? So what we have, we have this region, and then this right bending, and then you go like this. There's some fine slope is there, but okay, okay, this one for, let's say we are having a certain at VGS voltage, which is let's say much greater than the VTN, right? And basically this region is your saturation region. From here to here is a triode region. Now if we recall, So you have the this. You have the in the same way. Okay, this is this point is roughly between 0.22. So this point is here VC. So this is roughly 0.22, 0.3 volt. So this point is your saturation. That's corresponding to VCE saturation. So this region is yes. This is the saturation region for the BJT for the common emitter, and from here to here is your active region, for active region, right? So basically your device that we use for amplifier we use in this region. In case of the MOSFET, in case of the, so this is for the BJT common emitter, and this is for MOSFET, that is a FET but having a NMOS configuration. So what you see in both the situation, that now this terminology slightly is completely reverse terminology, right? In MOSFET we operate in saturation region, where in case of the BJT we operate into the active region. So both have the similar kind of like a output characteristics. That's always where the collector current, let's say, almost is independent of the voltage is applied. Same way here, the drain current becomes independent of the voltage which is applied at the drain terminal. Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
There was a few seconds it went out, like MS Team said bring it back. Okay, anyway, so this is what the difference. So what we can do for the same way, we can, I think for this we wrote the equations. Let's say for the DC we know the collector current we can obtain by, and the voltage VC. Same way we calculate for, so this is a little bit slightly bit complex in the terms of derivation, because he have the tapered region. So channel is having a kind of like the channel, or let's say this region is tapered. So we always consider, so what you see here, so I mean like channel, source, drain, and what we have, this is channel, something like this. So we always, so this is, let's say, channel. Can you hear me still?
Yes, sir.
So this is what we do here. Actually, we consider a small, let's say, portion. So basically, charge flow. We consider a small element here, which is a, let's say, region in delta x, having a charge which is flowing dq, and then basically we integrate from here to here over this the current. So we get enough, because you can see the character's behavior. What we is linear in this region, but it's started become a kind of like a nonlinear, because bending is there, become nonlinear again. It is becoming almost constant, though it has a certain some finite slope is there. So what we write down, we can get these equations for case of for this MOSFET PMOS, let's say for this NMOS, we obtain. If you want to see the derivation, you can look into the, not, this is not available into the in Niemann book, but if you're interested, then I can also discuss. But it is also, you can read the Sedra and Smith or any other book on solid state electronics devices. So it is available. So what we get it here, actually the this drain current ID. So it comes to on mu n cox w by L VGS minus VTN VDS minus half VD square. Right, this is for let's say this is basically for your non-saturation region. That's for tried region. So we can little bit simplify it because a factor of 2. So we can just take it. So this we can write down as an mu n COX W by 2L twice of VGS minus VTN VDS minus VDS square, and this is ID. So this is true for triod region. And case of saturation region, so current at the beginning of saturation region. So what we do here, we can substitute VDS as an VGS minus VTN, and then we can rewrite as an the current in the saturation region is now, we can write down this is mu n COX W by 2L, and that's VGS minus VTN square. This is a current, drain current in saturation region. So the mu n here, the parameters, mu n is mobility of electron, right? And COX is basically since your device is having an oxide layer, so basically the capacitance per unit area. So this is a capacitance per unit area. So what I mean is you have the oxide layer, and then this is oxide layer, you have the metal here. So this is metal, right? So this is metal, and this is an oxide layer, and then below you have the p-type substrate. So basically the capacitance here, so and it has a is capacitance per unit area, so which we can obtain. We know the dielectric material, which is oxide here. Let's consider for the silicon, so it's 3.9 multiplied by epsilon 0. So we can find it out, the capacitance per unit area. W is your channel depth, or let's say, yeah, so basically, and L is channel length, right? And what else parameters? So VGS is the voltage which is applied to the gate terminal with respect to the source, and VTN is threshold voltage, which is depending on to the, if it is a, since we are making NMOS, so generally values as mentioned to you between 0.5 to 1 volt, and of course VDS. So there is a specific reason to write down like in this bracket, because these we call as an conduction parameter. So okay, just don't let me, I need to have one blank slide here. So this COX, as I said to you, is the capacitance per unit, since it's related to the unit area. So basically talking about the gate, because your the capacitance is coming from there only. And let's if TOX, let's say if TOX is the oxide layer thickness, which is generally is order of few nanometer oxide layer. If this is oxide layer thickness, TOX, and then generally which is on order of few nanometers. So we can obtain the COX. Basically we can find out if we know the epsilon oxide dielectric constant for the oxide layer OX divided by TOX. This is the capacitance per unit area. So that's the reason epsilon by T. So permittivity of, let's say, if the silica. So as if we use the dielectric silica, so it is an epsilon OX. This is a 3.9 epsilon 0 permitted free space, and this is a for dielectric constant for silica for the glass. So basically this number is basically for epsilon for silica SiO2. Right, so this we can obtain, and we can estimate if, let's say, for example, if oxide layer thickness is, let's say, 10 nanometer. If I take a 10 nanometer, we can obtain this capacitance per unit gate area. Let's say we can obtain 3.9 multiplied 8.85 10 minus 11 farad per meter divided by thickness. So we can estimate this capacitance per unit area, right? So you can find out the value, right? And so this parameter in the previous equation. So basically here, so this one or here is we call this a conduction parameter. This is nothing. This is we call as a conduction parameter. Basically, it's a transconductance, but when we go into the amplification characteristics amplifier, there is a transconductance. So to avoid this kind of like a confusion between the terminology, so we refer this as a conduction parameter. And what you can see that mu n is basically is a constant for, we know the mobility of the electron, so it's a constant at particular temperature. And COX again, it's determined by the process technology, whether you fabricate once it is fabricated. So it's a, so what you see, this is a constant, right? So what inside what you see this mu and COX, this basically mu and COX. This is a constant. This is a constant and determined by the process technology that used to fabricate the N-channel MOSFET. Whether what's the thickness you're taking, the oxide layer thickness. So and this is fixed. Mu n is fixed, but COX is basically you're finding out by the process technology. So sometimes we call these as transconductance parameters. So we can we refer these as so we refer, let's say, mu n and COX as process transconductance parameter. Process transconductance parameters, and we write down this as a Kn, and that's your product of mu and COX. So the capital Kn, which I said as a conduction parameter, is simply your Kn dash W by, or let's say half here, W by L. So what you see here, that it depends on to the this depends on to the width ratio of these kind of like parameters, channel depth, not depth, channel depth, and the what you see here, the channel length here, right? So we can work out, let's say, one simple example. Okay, let me show you the characteristic, then I think this is what okay, we have often just shown you this reason. So correct, if you want to, if you are operating, if your MOSFET device is basically if in this region, so that means that the voltage which is applied, if VDS is less than the VDS saturation voltage, it means the MOSFET or the type of let's say PMOS or NMOS, if it is operating in this region, that's in that case you are going to use the current relationship, basically the first one for the tried to the non-saturation region. If the voltage which is applied to the drain terminal, if it is larger than the saturation voltage, or at the point where the saturation starts, there the drain current relationship will be used. This one will be used, right? So let's say one simple example we can start. Okay, I'll come back to the example. Let's get one more things. So this is for the PMOS. I think so. We know that it is an N-type substrate, and then we create an A. So what kind of charge carriers will be there in this case? So one should quickly understand from the word alphabet which is written here, right? So PMOS means it is going to whole inversion layer is there. So it means the channel which is going to create as an X, all the donor it will be all the donor atoms, and then holes are being act as a charge carrier. So by this nomenclature itself, you'll be able to understand, right? And you apply negative voltage. So N-type means negative voltage at the gate terminal, and there is a small I would say, let's say, small change in terminology. Let's for same as in what we do for NPN and PNP. So in NPN we use VCE and VBE and those. So in the same way here we is write down. You can see that it is written as a SG VSG. Where in case of NMOS we have written GS, right? And same thing instead of DS we are writing here an SD. So the current flow here in this case now, in case of the NMOS, the previous one, the current was going from drain and were leaving to source, but in this case is entering from source, let's say, and is leaving the drain terminal, right? So that's, I think, entire subset 2P regions, P source and P drain, gate voltage negative, all right, and carriers are simply just a question for you, but so this is nothing, this is the holes. The answer is holes here. So these are circuit symbols. So most of the time, this is the old. We started with this kind of because they're the four terminals. So body, that's substrate, gate, drain, and source. But this has been modified further, and you will see a kind of like this kind of like a symbols basically in most of the textbook. And sometimes you don't see even the arrow direction. So based on to the whether it's a plus, that we can understand the direction of the flow of the current. We can understand there is an NMOS or the PMOS, right? So basically these two. So this reason is something like mimicking the kind of like a layer, let's say two layers oxide. So between this and I think this is an oxide one. So I'm just mimicking that. So gate, drain, and this, and what your source. So as for the NMOS, the current let's say because the charge flow in this direction for the case of the NMOS, electrons flow from source to drain, so the current goes in this way direction. So that's leave that enter from the drain but leaves at the source terminal. So you can see the small, so there is arrow is there, something like an BJT. When we, if you just recall the BJT one for kind of like NPN, so this was symbol for BJT NPN. Right, so this is what the emitter, this is collector in the base. In the same way, you see that's a drain, source, and the gate. And for the case of the PMOS, is something like a PNP, kind of like a mimicking like a PNP, just making analogy between these two, so for understanding. Okay, so let's look into one example, and then probably I will take up that queries from the BJT, basically the base width modulation. Just hold on. Okay, so let's say create an NMOS which has minimum channel length is 0.4 micrometer, oxide layer thickness is 8 nanometer, mobility which is given for 450 centimeter volts second, threshold voltage VTN is 0.7 volt. So what you need to find out? So find out capacitance, gate capacitance per unit area, and process conductance parameter, that's the transconductance process transconductance parameter Kn, right? And for a MOSFET with W by L, okay, ratio, calculate the, okay, I can just give you, and W by L is 8 micrometer by 0.8 micrometer, so the ratio is given. So obtain the VGS, the value of VGS and VDS minimum voltage required to operate the transistor in the saturation region. In this saturation region with the DC current, drain current, with the DC drain current ID of 100 microampere. So that's problem 1, right? And problem number 2, let's say the same. You find the value of VGS required, to turn the device, to operate as 1000 ohm resistor for a very small value of VDS. Right, so this is the 2 problems. Okay, so there are 2, I think in this one you have to find out basically the 3 parts. One is gate capacitance per unit area, K and S, which is simply mu and COX. Once you obtain this capacitance gate capacitance per unit area, you can find out this process transconductance parameter K and S. And once we have, so since it says that what we have to do, obtain the VGS and VDS minimum required to operate the transistor in the saturation region, right? Since it says the saturation region, so what does it mean? It is we are going to use the equation which is here. ID is equals to mu and COX, W by 2L, VGS minus VTN square. So means we are going to use that equation to find out VGS, and once we have the VGS, we can find out VDS minimum. It means we are talking about something this point, right? So what should be the value of here? So that's your VDS minimum or saturation. So that's will be once we calculate the VGS, once it is obtained, we can obtain the VDS minimum would be simply VGS minus VTN is given. So you need to obtain the VGS. So from the equation, ID K and S W by 2L, and then VGS minus VTN square. So this is known, ID is known, K and S we are going to obtain here, W by L is here, and the rest. So you can try out this example. So right, so please note down. I will share it anyway onto this slide as well. So that's the first. So problem number 1, you got the three different parts. And for problem 2 here, find out the value of VGS required to turn the device to operate as a 1 kilo ohm resistor for a very small value of VDS. Right now, it's your, you have to decide, right? Like as an since this problem read like this, we always like this. If it reads like this, so you have to quickly say is register means I'm going to talk about, let's say, in some reason here, somewhere here, right? So somewhere here where still the straight line is still a straight line. So it means it says very small value of VDS. So it means I'm talking about the triad region. So the ID is your Kn dash W by 2L, and then you have VGS minus VTN, VDS, and then minus. So what we have here, twice of VGS minus VTN, VDS minus VDS square, right? This is the equation written. So that's the equation, let's say. So since the VDS is very small, so what we can do, we can simply neglect this term, square term, and we can approximately write down as an Kn dash W by 2L twice VGS minus VTN VDS, right? And since we're talking about should operate as a resistor, so how we find out resistance? V over, so resistance can be calculated. So RDS basically, so that's your VDS over ID for small value of, let's say, for DS. So we can use from here. This is given 1000 ohm because you want to act as an this device to turn as an 1 kilo ohm resistance. So VDS and IDS get it from here. What we have to calculate, we have to find out the what should be the value of the gate. Let's say what should be the value of the voltage should be applied at the gate terminal so that it can behave as a 1 kilo ohm resistance if we have a very small VDS signal. So that would give you the value of VGS from here, right? So you may attempt like you can try, you can just find out the values and we can let's say discuss it on this Wednesday. So regarding, there was a few carries from, I think one carry from over there, Amandeep, basically. So regarding the finite slope, right? The finite slope, though we have the in the same way finite slope on in here as well. So means okay. So what you see here, when we apply a voltage, so since this region, right, the collector to the this region collector to the base is basically connected to the reverse bias. So it means if has a neutral base width, but as we changing the as we change the voltage, which is lesser voltage, so this region width is changing. So change actually internally sometimes we say the modulation means because as it's changing the voltage, this region is slightly increasing, right? So effectively the neutral base width is now is decreasing as we increase this voltage at this point. So what does it mean? The gradient, or let's say concentration gradient of minor concentration, which is since is the NPN type. So we, now is the minor concentration gradient is basically here in this would be your, it would change, right? So so what you see the finite slope into the characteristics. I think this I have also explained before as well. I think here. So what it means, if I'm changing the voltage, if you look into this, let's say if you're changing the voltage, let's say this was still the VCC. If I'm changing the voltage from here, so what is going to happen that this region is the width depletion region, width is increasing. So effectively this neutral base width region is decreasing, and that's that gives a finite slope into the output characteristics IC and VC. Is clear, Amandeep, if you are there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Right. So any other questions you have?
So what are the significance that
Yeah.
they are meeting at the same point that is known as VA voltage?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So significant means if we extrapolate, right? If we extrapolate, let's say, if we extrapolate, there's a certain finite slope. Just to demonstrate, is kind of like a cartoon, but it might be if we take this kind of like a graph. But if we started making a, so it has a certain keep on moving on left hand side. So it's going to merge at one point, right? So that means. So this was observed by this meet at one point. So since on x-axis you are plotting the voltage, so this voltage has been referred as an early voltage after the name of the scientist who discovered why this is happening for the common ammeter, for the common ammeter configuration. And this number is roughly goes quite large. So it thus means that since it's an output characteristic, this is an output characteristics. This means between the collector current and the output voltage. So it has finite slope. The resistance. So it means it has a certain finite slope. So it has an output resistance R naught, which we can write in terms of, let's say, in terms of in the equation. So it means if we have the change in collector current and change in, so delta VC over delta IC would simply give you R naught. And if we have this IC and expression, so that's given a finite output resistance. So it meets at, so it is nothing, this is an extrapolation. So it was an experimental observation. Then the reason for finding out why it is happening, then the reason was connected, that is in a base width modulation, because the neutral base width reason, let's say W was, let's say at the point fix is changing, since your voltage is changing, so is the width is getting modulated because of change in voltage. Modulation means he has changed actually. That's all.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So any other questions?
So could you please explain in the voltage biasing when we have coupling capacitor how to find voltage Thevenin?
So I think that's we did it onto the VTH. So whenever you have to find out the Thevenin equivalent, so what you have to do? Right, this one. Right, you mean this one? So basically this comes from
Yes, sir, this one.
yeah. So you're finding out the voltage at this point, right? Simply. So now is connected onto the one VCC here. So basically it's a voltage divider circuit which you're using.
So, but how to take those 2 points across which we have to find VTH and RTH?
So you have to find out the equivalent circuit. You have to find out the equivalent circuit in this case. You try out own. If not, then I can just put up. Maybe Wednesday I will send it onto my handouts. I will prepare it and send it to everyone. It will upload there, step by step. But you have done in the voltage divider, I think you might be able to do it. In the experiment also you have done it, this voltage Thevenin equivalent, so voltage divider circuit. We try it for our own first, and if we are not able to, then I can send it. I am to have everyone upload it, or on put up on Wednesday. Right. So any other questions? So on, I think instead of Wednesday, we are having a class test on 11th, and this time is going through the Moodle. All right. So most likely other class tests will also be connected through the Moodle only. Right. And regarding the laboratory one, I think most likely, I think I should just going to even 13th Saturday. Most of the people have preferred Saturday and 4 p.m. because many of you have the NSO or some classes from 7 p.m. So it's going to be, I think we'll send an email today. The email will be sent today itself.
The pattern.
Yes, sorry.
Pattern